and traveling the quarter mile in less than 5 seconds. Winston Championship Drag Racing from the NHRA. The NHRA Winston Drag Racing National Event Series makes 19 stops a year at racetracks throughout the United States and Canada in quest of the $1 million cash postseason bonus payout. The last event in the Winston Series was in Gainesville, Florida, at the 20th annual running of the Motorcraft Gator Nationals. The highly partisan Florida crowd was overwhelming in its support for their home state Top Fuel standout, Darrell Gwynn. In the Top Fuel final, the 27-year-old Gwynn was racing a Texan that enjoys a tremendous amount of fan support himself, Eddie Hill. In a very close race, Gwynn defeated Hill with a 5.08 second elapsed time compared to Hill's 5:11. The amazing Bruce Larson, winner at the Winter Nationals and runner-up at the Super Nationals in Houston, made his third final round appearance of the year at the Gator Nationals, squaring off against Ed McCulloch. While McCulloch was smoking the tires at the starting line, Larson drifted across the center line of the track, which meant automatic disqualification, giving McCulloch his third career Gator Nationals championship. The most dramatic story at the Gator Nationals came in Pro Stock Eliminator, which saw a Chrysler product in the final round for the first time since 1979. Darrell Alderman, driving a Dodge Daytona, raced against Frank Iaconio in a Pontiac in the Gator Nationals final. The Dodge prevailed, marking the return of the Mopar as a competitive force in Pro Stock Eliminator. Now the NHRA Winston spotlight shifts to the new Atlanta Dragway for the 9th annual running of the AC Delco Southern Nationals. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and welcome to the new Atlanta Dragway. The weather today is absolutely magnificent. This crowd is overwhelming this facility, which has seen some marked improvements over the winter. A brand new racing surface, including concrete starting line pads, is the highlight of the improvement program, and that new racing surface proved tricky for many competitors. It was Butch Leal against Frank Sanchez. They were paired up in qualifying. After the two cars went through the timing lights at the far end of the racetrack, Sanchez in the near lane lost control. The car overturned, and Leal had to make a choice. Rather than run into Sanchez, Leal turned left and hit the guardrail instead. Both drivers were uninjured. Leal described for us, from his perspective, what it was like.
Well, what happened is that we were running down through the quarter mile here at the Southern Nationals, and I pulled the chute out, and the chute came out, and I looked up, and Frank was right beside me, and I noticed the chute didn't come out, and the next thing I know, looked like he hit the brakes to me, and sort of got it sideways, and the wind caught it, and next thing I know, it's upside down right in front of me, and I got to get in the left lane, and I tagged the guardrail and destroyed my car, and looked like I'm out of the race. I got a car at the shop, but it's about 12 hours home and 12 hours back, and we're going to see if NHRA will let us get the new car, or our old car, and bring it back and try to get it and run in this race. This is our sponsor's race, and we're running pretty well here, and we just have to see what happens.
Rather than get the old car, Butch Leal borrowed the Pontiac Trans Am of Pat Busey. He installed his engine and complete drivetrain, requalified the car, but in round one racing, lost to Reed Wisnett. In another qualifying pair, it was two Pontiacs, Chuck Ekmalian in the far lane, James Antoinette in the near lane. Very quickly into the run, Antoinette drifted towards the center of the racetrack, lost control, the car flipped over on its roof, and burst into flame. The fire was contained primarily in the engine compartment, and the NHRA Safety Safari crew was quick on the scene. Meantime, Antoinette was inside the car, attempting to exit under his own power. As we watch this accident again, Antoinette had gotten very close to the center line. That portion of the racetrack and the outside edge out of the racing groove is a little bit slick. As I pointed out to you earlier, this is a brand new racing surface, and it is not quite cured yet. A number of racers, including James Antoinette, who was uninjured in this accident, were having problems with it.
The car just went towards the center. I corrected it. I felt it was going to go straight, and all of a sudden, this car's is fast. That's the only thing I can say, and things happen so quick. You know, it's my first national event, and I had some practice with the car, but I guess I didn't have enough.
Now, here's my good friend Steve Evans with a story that you may just find a bit hard to believe.
Well, Dave, listen to this. The biggest off-track news in drag racing in many a year came just this past week. Shirley Muldowney announced that Big Daddy Don Garlits would become a member of her crew as a consultant and the tuner of the engine. You say, Evans, you have been out in the sun too long. Well, listen to what both of them had to say early this morning. Shirley, it's well known in drag racing lore that Don Garlits signed off your original competition license. But as you got more competitive, the relationship went downhill. Actually, it went over a cliff. But it appears to have come full circle.
Well, he created the monster, actually, initially. And in the early 70s, we had a lot of fun with it. And the rivalry was honest. I mean, it was serious business with us. And in the later years, as we both grew older and mellowed, we became, we got on speaking terms, and when I came back racing, he was very good to me, but still, again, he wanted to win the drag race, just like everyone else out here.
But this is a professional relationship.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I'm staying out of the line of fire, if you will, but I can't really tell them anything. All I'm going to do is listen to them. That's how I'm going to get to the winner's circle.
Don, you have been offered similar positions by other teams and have consistently turned them down. Why the Muldowney operation?
Well, they had a lot of nice parts, and, I thought this would really be a controversial thing. Nobody would believe that I did such a thing. In fact, some people told me, some racers says that we would have bet our fortunes that you would have never had on a pink shirt on the starting line.
How's it working so far?
I love it. I'm having a good time over here. I haven't really done anything dramatic on this car, but I'm just getting my feet wet. You got to remember, I was out away from all of this a year and a half, and there have been a lot of technical changes since then.
Well, you heard Big Daddy say that he didn't expect miracles right off. Well, he didn't get any. The car qualified in the slowest position, the 16th spot, and in round number 1 faced off with Joe Amato, who handily took the victory. But Shirley's reaction times were the best in 3 years throughout qualifying, which means they already have found ways to make that car move quicker right off the mark. Well, David, you showed us all at the top of the show. Ed McCullough winning the funny car title at the Gator Nationals when Bruce Larson crossed the center line. Well, McCullough, the defending champion here at the Southern Nationals, overpowered yet another racetrack earlier today in first-round action, and R.C. Sherman didn't make any mistakes. In other funny car action earlier today, two of the biggies got together, Mark Oswald and Bruce Larson. And Larson continues that incredible streak, further extending his Winston points lead. Now let's talk pro stock. Bob Glidden hopes to win his 70th career NHRA victory here at the Southern Nationals. He missed doing that at the Gators. But the man given the best chance of thwarting those efforts is the driver of this Oldsmobile, Warren Johnson. Now, this is Johnson's home track. He is the defending Southern Nationals champion, and he qualified number 2. In round 1 earlier, it was Johnson defeating the always tough Morris Johnson Jr. Well, Glidden did qualify number 1 and defeat Jerry Ekman in round 1, so don't count him out just yet. Okay, well, everybody's up to date. Let's go to round 2 of Top Fuel and Dave McClellan.
Steve Evans, there's another lady making her name in Top Fuel racing. It is the driver of the Jolly Rancher Candy Special, Lori Johns from Corpus Christi, Texas, getting set to do her burnout. 4,000 plus horsepower spinning those tires. Dennis Forcell duplicates the action. The Simpatico Beer Special of Forcell from Minneapolis, Minnesota, has quite a task on his hands as Lori Johns running exceptionally well at this event. This marks the second season of competition for Johns. She started about mid-season last year. Qualified well at several events, has not done exceptionally well in eliminations, but it is a learning process for the blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl from Corpus. She qualified number 3 with a 5:11. Forcell, in about the 3rd year of his Top Fuel career, qualified in the 7th spot with a 5.20. A lot of work went on this racetrack overnight by NHRA safety safari officials. A tremendous amount of additional traction compound was sprayed on the racing surface, and throughout the first round of competition today, it certainly proved the value of their efforts as the track appears to be okay. Laurie Johns in the near lane, Dennis Forcell in the far lane. Close race with Laurie Johns winning and advancing for the first time in her career to the semifinals. 5.22 seconds. Her speed, 273 miles an hour. She won this one with a whole shot, a starting line advantage. She left the line about 0.02 of a second quicker than Forcell, and at the finish line, it was just a matter of inches as Forcell actually outran her with a 5.21 second elapsed time. Steve is at the far end of the track with Laurie Johns.
Look at that smiling face. Come on, smile. Laurie Johns goes to the semifinals for the first time.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about that. You know, we're brand new at this, and for us to go this far and to qualify number 3 at this race just shocks me.
You had a little bit of a hole shot going for you. You had everything going for you.
Because, you know, I've been earning the reputation as the slowest driver out here. I can't seem to get myself off the starting line.
Well, Laurie, that image may be changing today. The 1989 NHRA AC Delco Southern Nationals is being brought to you by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. And by Firestone. Watch us. We're on the move. And by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. There's more Top Fuel racing coming up next. The dragway in the AC Delco Southern Nationals, where Joe Amato is rolling through the staging lanes, getting ready for his race against Gary Ormsby coming up in just a few moments. But now, on the starting line, if you like Top Fuel racing, this is one of those occasions where you can double your pleasure. You're not seeing double. It is 2 identically appearing race cars on the track. Teammates on the Miller High Life team of Larry Minor. The 1987 Winston champion, Dick LaHaye, racing this man, Frank Hawley. 2 times he was a champion at the wheel of the Chi-Town Hustler funny car, now driving for Larry Minor in this Top Fuel dragster. Dick LaHaye qualified in the number 1 position with a 5.10 second elapsed time, indicating that he has found the performance necessary to be competitive. These 2 cars look identical. In the far lane of the racetrack is Frank Hawley. That is the vehicle that operates out of Larry Minor's shop in Hemet, California. From Lansing, Michigan, the LaHaye family calls that home base. And LaHaye pulls away and wins it. His daughter Kim likes it, and LaHaye has his hands full. He drives all over the racetrack in the shutdown area. His time, 5.16 seconds. His speed, over 278 miles an hour. Again, showing that consistency that LaHaye had back in 1987. This is the reigning Winston champ, Joe Amato, at the wheel of the TRW Special. Alongside of him in a side-by-side burnout situation is the man currently leading the Winston points chase. That is the Castrol GTX driver, Gary Ormsby. This is a rematch of the final round at Houston at the Super Nationals. You saw it right here on ESPN. Let's go to Steve.
Well, Dick LaHaye, so far today, a picture of consistency, more consistent than anyone else, and you win the intramural battle with Frank Hawley at 5:16.
Well, that was the whole object, to just leave it alone. Let them either make their mistake and so forth. And we knew that it was going to slow down on account of track conditions, but we knew the car would step up just because it's this car.
So, in the semis, I get.
We're very pleased with it. Thank you, Steve.
And that ought to be good enough for lane choice.
Right you are, Steve. He will have lane choice over Laurie Johns in the semifinals. The lane choice is decided by the racer that has the quicker elapsed time of the previous round. He or she will have the lane choice in their side-by-side race. In this competition between Gary Ormsby and Joe Amato, Ormsby is the man that came out the victor of that race down in Houston at the Super Nationals, using a tremendous starting line advantage to put away Joe Amato. Here, Amato has the quicker elapsed time of the previous round, thus he has the choice of lanes and has picked the lane nearest the camera. Amato up in smoke, and Ormsby into the semifinals. His elapsed time, 5.20, 275 miles an hour. Amato just overpowered the racetrack and lost traction. That was indicated by that huge cloud of smoke coming off those rear tires. Back on the starting line, our next pair of racers' engines started rolling into the water puddle, getting ready to do their burnout. Eddie Hill comes out first, followed by Darrell Gwynn. The driver of the Coors Extra Gold car, Gwynn finished number 2 to Joe Amato last season, and Eddie Hill finished 3rd in that Winston Championship points chase. Let's go to Steve at the far end.
Well, as Gary Ormsby well knows, Darrell Gwynn and Joe Amato are breathing down his neck in the Winston point standings. You just got one of them with a 5:20.
Yeah, I fell off a little bit that time, Steve. I don't know what happened to him, but I was glad something happened because he would probably beat us. It just didn't run very well, that run.
You know, this is the time of the year. We don't really see records set, though, hot and humid.
Yeah, but we should be able to run a little better than that. We fell off even from the last run. But in this heat, it is definitely tough to run next good numbers.
I'm sure Lee Beard, your mechanic, will handle it.
We'll figure something out.
Gary Ormsby, what a year he's having.
That's right, Steve. Every round Gary Ormsby wins, he adds to his Winston points total. And this man, Darrell Gwynn, who was just giving us a big wave, is right behind him in those points standings. His dad, Jerry, out in front of the car directing traffic. His crew chief is Ken Veeney, a great racer in his own right. Darrell Gwynn, at the age of 27, winner of 6 NHRA national events last season. Racing against Gwynn will be Eddie Hill, the veteran top fuel star out of Wichita Falls, Texas. Gwynn qualified in the number 2 spot, just 1,000th of a second slower than Dick LaHaye. He's already been in the winner's circle this season, capturing the Gator Nationals Championship. This marks the inaugural race for the brand new car of Eddie Hill. He crashed the first one at the Winter Nationals this year. A tremendous hole shot for Hill, and he holds off Darrell Gwynn, who ran even quicker. The elapsed time's incredible here in the heat of the day. A 5.17 second time for Hill, a 5.14 for Gwynn. That race was won by Hill on the starting line. Eddie Hill now moves into the semifinals to race against Gary Ormsby. That 5.17 gives Hill the choice of lanes. Meantime, Laurie Johns goes against Dick LaHaye, with LaHaye having the choice of lanes. More racing from Atlanta right after this. Annual AC Delco Southern Nationals at the new Atlanta Dragway. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and we're joining some 43,000 fans jammed into this magnificent facility, enjoying some of the finest championship racing we've seen all season. Here's the man that set them on their ear at Gainesville, Florida, the winner of the Gator Nationals, the driver of the Excite Edge Dodge, Darrell Alderman, a Dodge Daytona with a 500 cubic inch Dodge power plant under the hood. That marked the first time since '79 that a Mopar product had won a Pro Stock title. Today, in round number 2 at the Southern Nationals, he is racing Bruce Allen. Allen qualified in the number 4 spot, defeated Joe Folgore in his first round of competition today, while Darrell Alderman qualified 8th and defeated Mark Powick in the first round race. Allen had a much quicker time in that first round of racing, thus he has the choice of lanes and has selected the furthest lane from our camera. He is into the staging beams. Alderman rolling forward. And a red light start for Alderman. He left the starting line too soon. That automatically gave the win to Bruce Allen. Allen's elapsed time, 7.42 seconds. That's identical with the time he turned in round number 1, indicating here in the heat of the afternoon, and it is warm here at the new Atlanta Dragway, that Allen is most consistent. Here is Ricky Smith at the wheel of the Stroh's Light Pontiac. He's got his task ahead of him. He's racing the defending event champion and the number 2 qualifier, Warren Johnson. Steve Evans?
742.
I think that's what we ran last time. That's not real good. We're not making real good passes. We need to get running a little bit better, but I think we will. I'm confident, and I feel like we got a real good chance.
With Glidden pounding out those 35s, you're going to have to.
No question.
Consistency counts for a lot, Steve, and we'll look forward to Bruce Allen as he advances to the semifinals. We're in round number 2 racing in Pro Stock Eliminator. During the offseason, Ricky Smith made a switch from Ford to Pontiac, and it paid off. He qualified in the number 6 spot here and beat Kenny Koretsky in round 1. Warren Johnson at the wheel of the AC Delco Oldsmobile qualified second and defeated Morris Johnson Jr. in the first round race. No relation between the two Johnsons. The engine's coming up to an RPM level of about 9,000, and then they drop the clutch. Down track, they move the levers on the transmissions until they cross the finish line, and Ricky Smith upsets the defending champion. Ricky Smith advances to the semifinals, and Warren Johnson, your number 2 qualifier, coasts to a slowing stop out of competition. In the Laurie Johns Top Fuel pit area, they're getting that race car ready for its competition against Dick LaHaye coming up later at the Southern Nationals. Pit area, Lee Beard directing his mechanics as to what to do to get the car ready for a race against Eddie Hill. Right now, let's join Steve Evans with a special word.
Well, David, like you, I haven't been home lately to get my mail, so I missed my latest issue of National Dragster. So I stopped by the souvenir stand for the souvenir edition here at the Southern Nationals, and look at this. We have been scooped again. Big Daddy Don Garlish to join Shirley Muldowney's crew. I can't believe it. But I guess I ought to just get used to it, because after all, National Dragster does have the most comprehensive coverage of NHRA drag racing. And you only get it by being a member of NHRA, 48 weeks a year in your very own mailbox. And something else I was reminded of back here is there's lots of other benefits to NHRA membership, including travel. You can save up to 45% on airfare to the races. There's discounts on rent-a-cars and on tickets. I mean, it's unbelievable. The list goes on and on and on. And, of course, National Dragster is just stuffed with all kinds of great drag racing information and photos. You know, if you join right now for just $38, NHRA will throw in a copy of the multi-award-winning home video Decade of Thrills, hosted by yours truly and Don the Snake Prudhomme. Decade of Thrills originally sold for more than the membership, so that's quite a bargain. Call them right now and become a member of the world's largest motorsports sanctioning body.
Thanks, Steve. Right now, let's get back to the racing action and on the track. It is a continuation of round number 2 in Pro Stock Eliminator. Larry Morgan at the wheel of the Castrol GTX Oldsmobile is in the far lane of the racetrack. In the near lane, it is a Pontiac Trans Am Firebird driven by Kenny Delco, who qualified number 15 and beat Frank Iaconio in the first round. Larry Morgan qualified in the number 3 spot and beat Don Beverly in his first round race. Morgan had a great elapsed time in that race, a 7.36 seconds, exceeded only by Bob Glidden's 7:35. That definitely gave him the choice of lanes over the Flip Speed Shop special of Delco. Morgan used that choice to select the lane the furthest from the camera. These cars powered by 500 cubic inch power plants, running on racing gasoline and using 2 4-barrel carburetors. Close race, Larry Morgan defeats Kenny Delco. The elapsed time, Morgan, 7.38 seconds. Delco with a giant hole shot at the starting line. As we watch again, look how quick Delco reacted to that green light. He had a huge advantage, nearly 0.08 of a second. The race in many cases would have been over at that point, but Morgan has been able to generate tremendous amounts of horsepower out of that 500 cubic inch Oldsmobile, and this is the time that it really paid off. Morgan drove by right at the finish line and won the race. Here is the quickest Pro Stock car on the racetrack. He qualified number 1. He had the quickest elapsed time in round number 1 action. It is the driver of the Motorcraft Ford Probe, Bob Glidden. Racing against him at the wheel of the Chevrolet Beretta is Reed Wisden, practically a hometown boy from the Atlanta suburb of Hapeville. As we saw earlier, he defeated Butch Leal in the first round. From his number 1 qualifying spot, Glidden defeated Jerry Ekman of Ventura, California in his first round race. These are highly sophisticated examples of the ultimate factory hot rod. They weigh 2,350 pounds minimum weight with the driver on board. Glidden and Wisden. Problems set in for Reed Wisden, and Glidden is untouched challenged his elapsed time, a 7:39, 187 miles an hour. Glidden was some 0.04 of a second slower than his first round race. That allowed Larry Morgan with his 7:38 elapsed time to have the lane choice in their semifinal race. Ricky Smith squares off against Bruce Allen in a battle of Pontiac versus Chevrolet, with Allen having the lane choice. Kim LaHaye, the crew chief on Dick LaHaye's top fuel dragster, doing some preparatory work, getting it ready for his race against Laurie Johns, coming up later at the Southern Nationals. We're back at the 9th annual AC Delco Southern Nationals at the new Atlanta Dragway, and this is the semifinal round of action in Funny Car Eliminator. Here is Mike Dunn driving Joe Pisano's car against Don Prudhomme at the wheel of the Skoal Bandit Pontiac. This is the quickest funny car of all time, recording a 5.19 second elapsed time at the Super Nationals. Earlier today in round number 2, Prudhomme raced against R.C. Sherman, who upset Ed McCulloch in the first round. Prudhomme defeated Scott Coletta in his first round race, and in doing so, ran a 5.46 second elapsed time. That gave him the choice of lanes over Sherman. Sherman smoked the tires at about the halfway point, and Prudhomme won his second round race to advance here to the semifinals to race against Mike Dunn. In his second round race, Mike Dunn, the winner over Tony McCollum in round 1, was matched against the hottest funny car in the country, Bruce Larson, at the wheel of the Century Tack and Gauges car. Larson's win in round 1 over Mark Oswald was quicker than Dunn's run. Therefore, Larson had the choice of lanes. Not that it did him a lot of good in this second round race, as he instantly went up in smoke. Dunn slowed across the finish line to only a 583, 184 mile an hour charge, but that was good enough to bring him here into the semifinals to race against Don Prudhomme. While Prudhomme may be the quickest car in the country, Dunn is noted as one of the fastest. In fact, he holds the national record at over 280 miles an hour. And Dunn across the finish line first by nearly a car length and a half, wins with a 5.48 second elapsed time. His speed only 263 miles an hour. A very consistent, conservative run out of Mike Dunn and Joe Pisano. Here now, the Castrol GTX car. This is John Force. Racing against him in the semifinal round is Eric Reed. In his nearly 2 years of racing, this is one of the most successful days that Reed has ever enjoyed. Let's go now to Steve Evans.
Mike Dunn, to the final round we go.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. The JP1 Oldsmobile is running pretty good. I felt like a pretty good pass. It finally got to hook up on the other end, and we've been having trouble with that all weekend.
Dunn looking very good for his final round race against either Eric Reed or this man, John Force. But before we get to that semifinal race, John Force in round number 2 racing was matched against Tom Hoover. In his first round race, Tom Hoover beat Chuck Etchell, while John Force pulled off an upset of sorts as he took out the number 2 qualifier, Art Hendy. Hoover in the Champion Auto Store's Pontiac Trans Am had the choice of lanes in this second round race, but smoked the tires violently, allowing Force an easy run. Force elapsed time 5.48 seconds, his speed over 273 miles an hour. Meantime, in the other second round race, it was Eric Reed who defeated Steve Burnt in the first round against the 4-time and reigning Winston champion, Kenny Bernstein. The Budweiser King had the quicker elapsed times in round 1. That gave him the lane choice in this round 2 race against Reed. Bernstein was in and staged in the near lane. As Reed staged, starter Buster Couch was forced to signal an inexperienced crewman away from the car. The tree went green. Bernstein's Buick headed to the guardrail, smoked the tires. Reed crossed the finish line first and advanced to the semifinals to race against John Force. The winner of this match between Reed and Force will go into the Southern Nationals final to do battle against Mike Dunn. Force creeping into the staging beams. Now Eric Reed is set. Reed has the advantage. And easily course, a 5.51 second elapsed time. His speed, 259 miles an hour. That sets up the pairing for the finals in Funny Car Eliminator. It will be Eric Reed making the best showing of his career against Mike Dunn. Dunn having the choice of lanes. Top Fuel semifinals coming up next. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and the burnouts are completed for our first pair of semifinalists in Top Fuel. It's Gary Ormsby against the Super Shop Special of Eddie Hill. That's his crew chief, Fuzzy Carter, directing traffic. Let's go to the far end of the track. Steve's with Eric Reed.
You ran a 5:51.
That's great. This is the first time we've tried high gear only on this car, and it's working out fine. Don't underestimate Larry Frazier.
No, I never do. The crew chief on this car. Or Larry Adams. There's a crew here wants to give this man a hug. Then they'll have to go back to work.
Eric Reed talking about his crew chief, Larry Frazier, who is on loan from the Top Fuel crew of Dennis Forcell. Ormsby in the far lane of the track. Eddie Hill with the lane choice has selected the near lane. Ormsby with the advantage. But look at the power of Eddie Hill just driving by. A 5.20 second elapsed time. His speed, 267 miles an hour. Ormsby falling off pace just a bit, was only able to muster a 5:32. For the first time in her career, Lori Johns is in the semifinals. A family operation out of Corpus Christi, Texas. Her dad and mom along encouraging her, working on the race car. Of course, Dick LaHaye's operation is family-oriented also. His wife, Claudia, his son, Jeff, and his daughter, Kim, serves as the crew chief on that Top Fuel dragster. Let's go to the far end of the track. Steve's with Eddie Hill.
The first time Eddie Hill ever heard this new car run was right here in qualifying just a few days ago, and now it's my pleasure to tell the man from Texas that he is going into the final round. Eddie, good job.
Oh, that's terrific, man. I am so happy after all the hard luck we've had, all the fuel pumps we broke here, the 2 engines we broke here, the blowers we kicked off, to finally have it going our way. Man, it feels good to be running good again.
Another man that is very happy to be running good is Dick LaHaye. Here in the semifinals, he's racing against Lori John. This young woman came up through the ranks of drag racing, starting in sportsman category competition, now in her second season as a Top Fuel driver, and rapidly maturing into one of the best. Something going wrong on Lori John's car. The supercharger drive belt came off. Dick LaHaye ran a 5:18, 279-mile-an-hour blast. That puts him in the finals to race against the Texas veteran Eddie Hill. That match is shaping up to be one of the best of the day. Very close elapsed times. LaHaye only 200ths quicker in the semifinal round. Enough to give him lane choice, but promising a great race. Delco Southern Nationals, it's the semifinal round of Pro Stock Eliminator. Ricky Smith, noted for his starting line reaction times. Some incredible performances reacting to that green light on the tree out of Smith this weekend. But he's racing against a very strong lever himself. That is Bruce Allen at the wheel of the Levi Garrett Chevy Beretta. Identical starts for both drivers. The power race goes to Bruce Allen. 7:41 at 185 miles an hour. Bruce Allen advances into the final round of racing to meet one of these two drivers, Larry Morgan or Bob Glidden. In this case, Morgan had the choice of lanes with his Oldsmobile in the far lane of the track. These have been the two quickest cars throughout all of eliminations, and now they come together to meet in this semifinal round. Let's go to Steve at the far end with Bruce Allen.
Well, the driving is there, and the elapsed time is almost there. A 7:41 put away Ricky, but in the finals, it may take more.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. We'll just have to cross that bridge when we get to it. We got some changes we can make. We've been making slight changes, and actually, we've been faster than who we were going to race, and when you're in that position, you like to at least win that round before you make... You know, if we get up there and these guys are way faster than us, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Hope it works for you.
Me too.
Did you notice throughout that interview, Bruce Allen never took his eyes away from the starting line very long? He's interested to find out who he will race in the finals. Will it be Larry Morgan or Bob Glidden? Both cars now in the pre-stage beam. Both drivers just sitting there. We may be watching a bit of a psychological battle going on between Morgan and Glidden. Neither driver wanting to stage last. Therefore, nobody else will stage first. Starter Buster Couch comes in and backs the two drivers off the starting line. It is the prerogative of the starter to make that decision. The crowd responds with a cheer as Buster Couch shuts them both down. I guess at this point, we'll just start the procedure all over again. But there's a big difference this time. The engines are already warm. In fact, I'd almost bet you they are blazing hot at this point. But that's the penalty you pay sometimes if the starter decides you have taken too long to get into the staging beams. I'd also bet you money that it won't take near as long to get him to stage this time. Glidden against Morgan in the semifinals. Glidden defeating Larry Morgan and advancing to the final round to race Bruce Allen. 7.40 was his elapsed time. The reaction time at the start went to Bob Glidden by 1/100 of a second advantage. As they neared the finish line, it was Glidden who had the lead at the starting line, holding on against that Oldsmobile, and they crossed the finish line separated by less than a couple of feet. The final round will be a classic Ford versus Chevrolet battle. Bob Glidden against Bruce Allen, Glidden having the lane choice. Those finals coming up next at the AC Delco Southern National. Rounds of racing remain at the 9th annual AC Delco Southern Nationals, and in Dick LaHaye's pit area, crew chief Kim is working on the supercharger while the rest of the crew is preparing that 4,000 horsepower race engine for its battle against Eddie Hill. Meantime, on the starting line, this man, 69 times he has visited the winner's circle at an NHRA national event. Bob Glidden is preparing himself and his Ford Probe for the race against the Chevrolet Beretta of Bruce Allen. The team of Rare and Morrison out of Arlington, Texas, regarded by many as the premier Chevrolet racers in pro stock competition. These are truly state-of-the-art race cars. The Ford Probe body, the Chevy Beretta body, both wind cheaters supreme as these 2,350-pound race cars near 190 miles an hour. Start, but Bob Glidden drove around him and takes his 70th event title. The elapsed time, 7.35 seconds, the quickest run of eliminations today. As we look again, Bruce Allen had a 4/100th of a second advantage at the start, but Allen had been down on performance just a little bit. He commented after the semifinal round that they were going to try something new, but obviously they were unable to find an untapped source of power as Glidden once again drove around at the far end of the track. Steve?
Another milestone in the incredible career of Family Glidden. Your 70th NHRA career win. Congratulations.
Thank you, Steve. It's a great win. We finally got to run Bruce in the final. You know, Bruce, we know they're going to be the car that whoever wins the Winston World Championship is going to have to beat. And they've had some pretty tough luck this year. And for us to beat them here means a lot to us.
When the PA announcer hollered 400th hole shot for Allen, some people said, that's enough, that's enough. It wasn't enough. He had low ET at 735. 735.
Well, we made an excellent run. You know, we guessed just right on the clutch. And I knew we had made a nice run. I had no idea we went 35 or whatever, but I thought Bruce was out just a little, but our car moved so hard in second gear, I immediately went around him.
70 of them.
Hey, I'd take 70 more, Steve. I'm telling you. You know,
that'll scare the rest of the guys.
No, hey, you know, we've never had it so good. These are the good old days for us.
Oh, boy. Well put.
Thank you.
Steve, there is a man obviously enjoying his success. Bob Glidden sprinting over to offer his condolences and accept congratulations from Bruce Allen. Allen now is number 2 in the Winston points chase. Glidden has a commanding lead. Frank Iaconio is down to number 3, followed by Larry Morgan and Warren Johnson. Back at the starting line, the man they call Papa Joe. That's Joe Pisano, the owner of Mike Dunn's car, getting it set for the final. Over 600 cars in both the professional and sportsman categories were entered here at this AC Delco Southern National. Earlier, Steve took a look at one of them.
You know, David, I'm as excited about all the high tech in the drag racing sport as anybody. But occasionally, I like to take a stroll down memory lane and get back to basics, if you will. And you can do that in the super gas pits at any NHRA national event, because here you can still find good old original hot rods. How about Bobby Brooks' 1948 Anglia from Savannah, Georgia? You'll remember in the 60s there were hundreds of Anglias all over the country. But when aerodynamics became important, and certainly handling became important, and these little short wheelbase cars don't, the Anglia lost favor with many drag racers in the very competitive gas classes. But along came super gas, the perfect place, because there's a performance limitation of 9.90 seconds, and we are seeing a resurrection of many of these old cars. Bobby has had this machine for 16 years. He bought it with the original little 4-cylinder English motor. It has had 30 small block Chevrolets in it over that period of time, about 4 paint jobs. He built the entire machine himself. The entire family, including the family dog, has grown up with this car on drag strips all over the Southeast. Now, Bobby blew an engine in the first round of super gas. Bad luck for him. But there were over 500 cars in sportsman competition. David, why don't you tell us who fared well?
Well, Steve, in the Super Gas final just a little bit earlier today, it was Jules Hickey in the near lane against Richard Godley in the far lane. A single light throw start sent these two drivers down the quarter mile. And at the finish line, Jules Hickey prevailed as the Super Gas champion. In the top alcohol dragster battle, Bill McCormick was the winner. In top alcohol funny car, Bob Newberry. Competition eliminator was Craig Liberty. Super stock, Scott Wilcox. In stock eliminator, Ray Head won his first ever national title, while Super Comp champ was Doug Cannon. In pro stock motorcycle, John Mafaro continued his winning ways, as that brings us now to the finals of funny car eliminator. History is being made here as Eric Reed is the first black driver ever to reach the final round of an NHRA national event in the pro categories. He is challenging Mike Dunn, 4-time national event winner. He picked up 2 of those big victories last season, but probably if you were to ask, the most prestigious came in 1986 when Mike Dunn drove Joe Pisano's car to victory at the U.S. Nationals. Dunn is pre-staged, Reed creeping forward into the staging beams. When the bottom 2 lights at the top of the Christmas tree are lit, that indicates to starter Buster Couch they're ready to go. And Eric Reed goes up in smoke. Mike Dunn across the finish line with another victory, 5.60 seconds. His speed, 264 miles an hour, and the Southern Nationals Championship proudly in his grasp. It's got to be a proud moment, too, for Eric Reed. What a fine series of performances to get him in the final round. As we look again, you see just what happened. The car went into a wheel stand, smoking the tires at the same time. And Eric Reed had to lift off the throttle and watch his chance for his first ever NHRA victory go down track with Mike Dunn taking the win. On the line now, it is the Top Fuel final. This is Eddie Hill. This man certainly has a flair for the dramatic. He came to this race with this brand new car. This replaces the one he turned over backwards at the Winter Nationals earlier this season. Hill had problems in qualifying, primarily with fuel pumps. They, in turn, caused other problems in the engine. A very expensive weekend for Hill. He was able to qualify on the final day, and now is in the final round to race against Dick LaHaye. The story here is exactly the opposite of Eddie Hill. Consistency has been the name of the game for Dick LaHaye. Steve?
Well, Mike, for a bunch of guys who claim not to be full-time touring pros and just do this for a giggle, you sure win a lot of races. Great job.
Well, great. That's nice. You know, we are just part-time racers, but maybe if I can talk Papa Joe into run a few more races because I think we've got a pretty good combination here.
Indeed, a 560, you take them. You take what you had enough. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it was enough to win. It was just a little soft. I think the clutch, I made some changes on the clutch, and it was just a little too soft. But we didn't want to smoke the tires. And, we got the win. We'll take it.
You remember your first ever final round, so you know how Eric felt going in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely the butterflies in your first final round. It's not like another qualifying run, no matter what anybody tells you. But we're just happy to be here.
All right. We're happy to talk to you. Frankie Paisano, Gary Slusher, the crew chief, Joe Paisano, the car runner, they're all down here, and they're really happy people.
Steve, they deserve to be. They earned it today. A very tough field and a very tricky racetrack. Because the two leaders in our points chase, Bruce Larson and Kenny Bernstein, went out in the same round of competition. Not much shuffling in that Winston point standings in Funny Car Eliminator. Top fuel final. Eddie Hill in the near lane. Dick LaHaye in the far lane. The lane choice was LaHaye's. He put Hill over here in the near lane, and Eddie's got to be thinking a little bit about that tire-smoking, wheel-standing run that he just watched by Eric Reed in the Funny Car Final. Both cars are set. A good start, and LaHaye has an advantage. Hill will not catch him. Dick LaHaye wins his first race since the 1988 Winter Nationals. His elapsed time, 5.13 seconds. His speed, 281 miles an hour. As we watch again, it is obvious the amount of advantage at the starting line that was gained by Dick LaHaye. If you want to convert 0.07 of a second into distance, look how far ahead Dick LaHaye is at the middle of the course. And he keeps on going until he wins.
We could hear Dick LaHaye hooting and hollering in the car 100 yards before it got here.
Boy, Steve, it seems like it's been forever since we've talked in the final round and I've won the race, is what it amounts to. I mean, I'm just so thrilled. And we had a lot of problems before that final round here. The engine looked good and everything, and Tom got to checking it, and it had a bent rod, and so the crew in 35 minutes replaced all the rods and pistons.
You can't just replace one rod.
No, not on a deal like that. They replaced the whole thing. And, I mean, between Kim and Tom and Greg, they got to be the super crew. And the rest of the Miller crew pitched in there a little bit. And, I'm just glad that I'm here for Miller.
Well, I'm glad you're here for all of us. But the 12th one didn't come easy, so it'll be long remembered.
No, it didn't, boy. I mean, and there's going to be some more this year.
By the way, a 5:13. Nice way to end it all.
That was the best one. Thank you.
Dick LaHaye, the top fuel champion, enjoying the fruits of victory. And included in that is the congratulations of the man he just beat, Eddie Hill, and a hug from Eddie's wife, Percy. Dick LaHaye, winner of the Southern Nationals. That moves him up into the number 4 spot in the top fuel points chase. Ormsby still number 1, followed by Darrell Gwynn, Eddie Hill, with Joe Amato rounding out the top 5. For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long from Atlanta. The 1989 NHRA AC Delco Southern Nationals has been brought to you by Firestone. Watch us, we're on the move. And by AC Delco, automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. Coverage of the NHRA Southern Nationals has been a presentation of Diamond P.